One of the things that I've noticed in working as a clinician, helping addicts recover, one of the things that stands out is the lack of integrity or honesty as you engage in conversation with addicts, and in serious conversation with addicts in treatment, about their degree of ambivalence, the mixed feelings, the mixed commitments, the mixed intentions that they have in relation to their problem, in relation to their use of their behaviors or their substances or both. And so I'm talking about this, relative to, the crack addict, the alcoholic, the heroin addict, the meth addict, the eating disordered individual, the gambling addict, the shopping addict, the sex addict. There's a large collection of addictions that don't involve the ingestion of substances or a direct alteration of one's chemistry with an external agent. But both categories apply in terms of the mindset of the people labeled addicted inside that conceptual framework. So I don't need to split hairs about whether there's a chemical agent or a substance involved or not. The eating disorder, the food addict, the person with eating disorder, has the same sort of difficulty relative to an understanding of their ambivalence. And so this is what I've noticed. You sit with a group in treatment and you say, how many of you are 100% committed to their recovery? And some will raise their hands. Some of them might recognize that this is kind of a trick question and I'm looking to trap them. So they'll equivocate, they won't raise their hand, they'll ask for clarification. But some of them are foolish enough to raise their hand, and I say foolish, in a kind way. I mean, they just don't understand, and they're sort of coming from the party line, what's expected of them. Of course, I'm here in treatment, so I better be 100% committed. But it should be clear to you, to everybody that's listening to this, the assumption underlying what I'm saying has to be true. They are not 100% committed. First of all, in any group of addicts, you might have a small subgroup that has been coerced into treatment, so it wasn't even their idea. Some of them are still actively in denial, so to speak, and so, of course, they don't have 100% commitment, and they shouldn't be raising their hand, although you could understand if they want to impress, convince everybody around them that they're for real, they have to sort of, play the game, and so they'll indicate that they have way more commitment than they honestly believe they have themselves. But let's put that group in parentheses, and let's just focus on the group that actually believes that they have a high level of commitment to recovery. And you ask them, okay, if it's 100%, I mean, you realize it can't quite be 100%, like some part of you still wishes that you could use with no consequences. And they go, well, okay, that's true. So I'll give myself 98%. And I'll say, well, that's a little high too, because given the opportunity to kind of like sneak around and nobody knows about it and get away with it, some part of you, if you were clear you could get away with it and not get in trouble, not get caught, you'd be doing some sneaking now and again when you really feel the urge. Okay, that's true, so let's give me the high 80s. And I say, all right, well, let's take this a little further. And we get to that moment in your recovery where you're really pissed off, and the people that are encouraging you and supporting you have let you down a little bit, and you're sitting around, you're looking at other people get away with, social drinking or casual crack use, let's say, which kind of seems like a contradiction in terms. But there you see it, you encounter it in your network, and damn it, you're a little pissed, and at that moment you're very, very vulnerable, very weak, and some part of you is dying to use. Maybe you use your willpower and you don't cave in, but you know what I'm saying. And at that point, aren't you really more like 50-50? Well, yeah, you're probably right, because it is almost like flip a coin. So let's back up then. When I asked you initially, when you sat down, and you said you're 100%, or you're giving yourself a lot of credit, and now we dig a little deeper, we're clear that you're not as committed as you should be, as you could be, as you might want to be, or certainly others would hope that you were. It's not there. It's not really there. So let's start with the truth about this, and there's a high degree of ambivalence. And you're not in the 90s. And I don't want to insult anybody here who's, been around the block or been discussing and hit 15 rock bottoms and, lost so much in your life, and damn it, you need to quit this time. I'm not trying to insult you. I'm just trying to clarify the mixture of emotional commitments that truly exist inside you at the moment. Let's call the spade a real spade. Let's not dress it up. That's not going to help us if we're living in la la land about this. If we're 10% operating with an illusion, that's a dangerous 10%. Because that's going to be the 10% that trips you up and surprises you and everybody else, 1 month from now, 2 months from now, or, the minute you leave the program. Let's get real about this. Let's get real about your ambivalence. So I think that's what I'm going to title this lecture. Let's get real about your ambivalence. Now, I make a bold statement here because about addiction, because I actually, according to my theory, which you can read about in the book, The Physics of Emotioning, there is virtually, and I mean almost universally, like 99.9% of the time, if not 100%, I'm just leaving a little wiggle room there for a possibility, that there's nothing in the realm of human, meaningful human commitments, meaningful human relationships to people, ideas, things, the world themselves, that does not involve some measure of ambivalence. Those who have very little commitment are talking a good game, and they're unaware of the hypocrisy or the self-deceptive bullshit that they're buying themselves and trying to sell to others. Over here, we have the folks who are really diligent, working hard in the recovery, and they're much more keenly aware of where there's slippage between this, idealistic, hypothetical 100% commitment and where they really are. And so these folks show great promise of getting a job that's very hard, very difficult, very challenging, ongoing in their life. They show great promise of actually succeeding at getting that job done. And these folks, if you can't actually, open them up and bring more of the truth, in which case they really have to be, prepared to be inundated, seriously inundated with guilt and shame and regret, embarrassment, self-esteem hit of all that. Unless they're prepared to do that, they can't open up to the truth. These folks equipped with much greater access to the truth feel the same things. In fact, they're allowing themselves to feel it, and that's one of the barometers that, as a treatment provider, that I use to recognize, the truth. The commitment to avoid these things probably means you live over here. The willingness to experience these things probably means you live over here. We're talking about, your grappling with your addiction and your dedication to your own recovery.